Let's go right to the phone and bring in a good friend of ours, Alanna Rizzo. She is a reporter and host on the Dodgers broadcasts. She used to be in that same role with Root Sports here in Denver covering the Rockies. Hello, Alanna. Nice to talk to you.
Hi, guys. Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. So, Alanna, the Rockies are facing Clayton Kershaw tonight. Kershaw, not real good in his first two starts this year. What's going on there? Anything for the Dodgers to worry about?
No, I don't think so, guys. I think, Kershaw last year didn't necessarily pitch well in Arizona to begin the season either. He didn't pitch in April because he had that teres major issue with his back. But you might remember back in May, at the beginning of May, when he was in Arizona, he got lit up pretty badly as well. So he's just looking to get into his rhythm. But there's one thing I don't do when it comes to this team, and that's ever worry about Clayton Kershaw.
And the Rockies will have to worry about Clayton Kershaw. He's still in struggling mode.
Woody's got an awful lot of confidence after this start, Alanna.
I'm wearing purple
I'm
wearing purple for the second
2 days in a row now. I'm starting to worry about him.
I am on this bandwagon.
He's already written Clayton Kershaw off. He's only the best pitcher in baseball, but not according to Paige, huh?
Yeah, well, and Greinke is, Greinke's gettable. You can get to Greinke. He's not had, his career. He's lost some games. And who's the third pitcher? Is that going to be?
They're going to see Brandon McCarthy in Game 3.
We're not going to see.
Yeah.
Tell me about Juan Nicasio, because he was he signed by the Dodgers, and I wonder how he's doing.
Well, he's doing really well. Obviously, he's out of the bullpen this year, as he was with the Colorado Rockies at the end of last season. And the one thing that he really wanted to work on coming here, and what he did in spring training, is work on his breaking ball stuff. And having a command of more than just one pitch. Naturally, he has the fastball command, but he wanted to work on his off-speed stuff. And I think he's really solidified a role in the bullpen. He feels comfortable there, and he's had success in spring training. Naturally, he made the club coming out of spring, which isn't a surprise to many. But he's found a niche. And again, this bullpen is kind of a bullpen by committee, certainly a closer by committee, with the loss of Kenley Jansen to the injury, and they expect him to come back sometime, I would say, mid to end of May. So really, the back end of the bullpen is, still kind of up in the air. They're doing it as more of a matchup situation. But Juan Nicasio, former Rocky, of course, is certainly in the mix.
That when pitchers leave here, they feel like they got out of jail. I mean,
no question.
Oh, wow. Free at last.
Renewed confidence.
And I mean, places to go to a contender and to go to L.A., which is and
a pretty good pitcher's park.
And pitch in Dodger Stadium, yes. Not only great place for pitchers, but a great place to enjoy the game and be a player for the Dodgers.
Hey, and you guys know better than anybody, obviously, with Brett Anderson in Colorado last year. Naturally, he suffered some injuries, and he's here as a Dodger now. And he wasn't really looking for a multi-year deal. He said, "Give me this one-year deal." The Dodgers signed him to a one-year, $10 million contract in the offseason. He said, "Let me show you what I can do," because you guys cover the Rockies on a daily basis, and you know what he dealt with, but they were all kind of fluky injuries. He had the broken finger, he had a foot issue, and then, a herniated disc in his back. So it was really nothing that was arm or shoulder related. And, he said, "Let me prove what I can do." And so far, he's enjoyed being a Dodger. And as you said, Woody, it's just, when you get a change of scenery and you get out of pitching at Coors Field, and you come to Dodger Stadium, which is supposedly a pitcher's park, unless you're Nelson Cruz, and you can, it's just, and nobody can keep him, or a hitter's park, I should say, nobody can keep him in the yard. But Brett Anderson's enjoying it, Juan Nicasio's enjoying it. Let's see how the club looks this weekend against the Rocks.
If the Dodgers Network or ESPN is listening to what Alanna just said, I don't need a multi-year contract. I want a one-year deal for $10 million. If you give me a one-year deal for $10 million, I'll take care of myself for the next 3 or 4 years or 6 years of the rest of my life.
Wouldn't take that, right?
Hey, Alanna, the Dodgers have some of their big names still on the roster, obviously, but they made a lot of changes, particularly up the middle in the offseason. You got a new catcher in Grandal. You've got a new shortstop in Jimmy Rollins. You got a new second baseman in Howie Kendrick and a new center fielder in Jock Peterson. I'm wondering how that's all working out up the middle for the Dodgers. How they are defensively, if they're improved, and how much does Jimmy Rollins have left at shortstop?
He's been tremendous, I have to say. Both Jimmy Rollins and Howie Kendrick have been great. They actually are like brothers. They do every single thing together, and it's that really good middle of the infield combination that there's just a different sort of confidence that the guy on the hill has with the guys that are behind him now. And so much was made coming into the season about how the middle of the infield was infinitely better with the addition of Jimmy Rollins at short and Howie Kendrick at second base with the departure of D. Gordon to the Miami Marlins and obviously Hanley Ramirez to the Boston Red Sox. Not only, though, has the middle of the infield, in everybody's opinion, greatly improved defensively, but if you look at the outfield, I'm not sure that there's another center fielder right now with the level of inexperience that Jock Peterson has that is a better defensive center fielder. You know, the reads that he gets, the jumps that he gets, his ability to see the ball coming off the bat, the Dodgers knew that he really was the best option they had in center field as far as really one of the best defensive outfielders they have all the way throughout the system. Naturally, you know, his bat needs to come around. He's starting to see the ball a little bit better. But even in the game that they played on Wednesday, you know, Scott Van Slyke, who's a utility player, a bench player really, he had some tremendous defensive plays. So when you talk to the pitchers, they just have so much confidence in the guys that are behind them, not only in the middle of the infield, but really all the way around the diamond.
Well, we've managed to get through this conversation without mentioning one name. There's a kid in right field whose name I forget, but he bought a house out there during the off season. He's talked about respecting the game more by not flipping the bat after home runs. Are you seeing a maturity level in him? And how are you seeing him when there's a slider that's outside? How is his bat reacting to that?
Yasiel Puig is who you're referring to, obviously, and I think it's, you know, it is still a bit of a learning process for Yasiel. He did mention that he wants to try to eliminate or at least lessen the bat flip a little bit, and people that are not on his team, and the opposition obviously doesn't take as kindly to Yasiel as the guys that are his teammates do. He plays the game hard. He only has one speed, and there's one thing about him that he will constantly do something on the field that leaves you scratching your head, for better or for worse. I have certainly noticed maturity having dealt with him for a year and change, but I think, you know, he still knows one way to play, and it's still a little bit of a cultural thing for him, but I do think that he is improving. And if he continues to have a cannon of an arm like he does with the accuracy, he's still a very fun player to watch.
Alanna, I've got some good news for you. We just watched the Giants for 3 games against the Rockies, and I watched them again last night against the I think they played the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
That Giants team can't hit the ball. I don't think the Dodgers or the Rockies or anybody else in this division is going to have to worry all that much about the Giants. It's about as impotent a lineup as I've seen. I think this is going to be one of those every other years for the Giants where they don't make the playoffs, they don't win anything. Do you see... Right now, Alanna, do you see the Padres as the biggest challenger for the Dodgers in the division, even though the Rockies are sitting atop the division?
I certainly think the Padres weren't messing around. If you can see what they did in the offseason, obviously with the big trade of acquiring Matt Kemp, and then in exchange the Dodgers got Yasmani Grandal, you know, they are not messing around. Having signed closer Craig Kimbrell, which I felt came out of nowhere, was absolutely incredible. They've always had very strong pitching in San Diego. That's never been the issue. And now I think they have a very formidable lineup that can hit. I would not be surprised if the Padres are for real, and I would not be surprised if they're challenging the Dodgers down the stretch. I wouldn't, you know, of course I have a love for the Colorado Rockies, being born and raised in Colorado and having covered that team for 5 years. But I always hesitate to get excited when they get off to a good start, because inevitably it always seems historically that, you know, it doesn't last. It would be great to see the Rockies continue to play well and give the Dodgers a run, you know, a run for their money. But the Padres are for real, and I would not be surprised if it's the Dodgers and the Padres down the stretch, you know, fighting for that division crown.
The Rockies will never give the Dodgers a run for their money because the Dodgers have so much money.
How often do you hear that one? You're supposed to win, Alanna. You have a $270 million payroll.
And you guys know this better than anybody. It doesn't translate to wins.
True.
You know, you have to have. You always talk about sports chemistry, and I will say this about the Dodgers this year. This club is completely different from a chemistry and a makeup standpoint than the club last year was. So much was made about how the power was going to be replaced with the departure of Matt Kemp and Hanley Ramirez. And this is a club, I still think, that has pop in its bat, and it's also a club that has a very long lineup. There is not much of a break in the lineup when you look at it top to bottom. You know, Howie Kendrick is in the cleanup spot, and a lot of people question that move, but it's worked out when he's, you know, hitting behind Adrian Gonzalez, who's just been absolutely lights out to start the season and setting milestones in his career and for the franchise as well. But this is a team that complements each other a lot better, in my opinion, than the team last year. This is a team that doesn't try to be the guy that hits a 5-run home run when that's an impossibility, as well as the fact that they just trust the guy behind him to get the job done. You know, this is more of a team that can play some small ball, move a guy over, hit and run. It's been fun to watch.
Alanna is one of the best in the business. I hope she comes back to the Rockies as the play-by-play and analyst.
Wow.
Because we've had some questions about the announcers this week.
Woody's been a bit merciless, just so you know.
How do people stay in touch with you on Twitter or wherever else, since we can't get the Dodgers games here?
You can certainly do that. If you want to pay me a 1-year, $10 million contract, I will be on the first flight to Denver. So just let me know if that works for you.
I'm going to arrange that this afternoon. I'm going to arrange that. I just got to find people to help me pay for that.
Alanna, what's your Twitter handle?
Twitter is at Alanna Rizzo, ALANNARIZZO.
Hey, Alanna, always love talking to you. You know that, and we'll see you when the Dodgers come into town, all right?
All right, guys. You take care. Thanks for having me.
All right, Alanna Rizzo. I'll tell you what, she's flying, she's soaring with the Eagles these days. I mean, on the broadcasts with her, Nomar Garciaparra, Oral Hershiser, Vin Scully, Rick Monday, Charlie Steiner. She's in pretty good company these days.